Today we are checking things off of your list. We're talking about checklists and why I told you to keep things off of your calendar and on a separate checklist. And I'm going to tell you my 3 strategies for how to actually pick which of those things to do first. That's coming up. What's going on, everybody? I am Youngman Brown, and this is Your Creative Push, the podcast and the YouTube channel that's all about helping you to push past your creative resistances so that you can live your best creative life. And today's video is the 4th in my productivity and time management tips for artists series, and we're talking about checklists. Now, our brains are great at creating new ideas, but they are terrible at remembering those ideas. And they're also terrible at remembering all of the tasks that we have to get done. And this can stress us out when we're constantly remembering all of the things that we have to get done on a daily basis. So just like it's important to write down all of your ideas so that you don't forget them, it's so important to write down all of the tasks that you have to get done so that it can clear up that brain space so that you can let your mind wander and be the wonderful creative thing that it is. Now, if you remember in the last video, we talked about the importance of asking yourself 2 questions before you write these tasks down. And the tasks that end up on your checklist are the things that passed the first test but failed the second test. They're important, and that's why they're swirling around in your head, but they're not important to get done now. And that's why you've placed them on this list so you can get them out of your head, but you won't forget them and you will eventually get to them. Now, you might be thinking that this is the most ridiculous video that you've ever watched, because what could Youngman possibly be telling me about making a list of things to do and then doing them and crossing them off? But there's 2 very, very important mindset shifts that I made in my life when it came to my checklists that were game changers, and I hope they will be for you as well. Because when I first started implementing this strategy of making to-do lists of important things, but things that weren't important now, I had that in the back of my mind. So anytime I thought about getting to those tasks, I knew that they were pertinent, but not pertinent now, and I pushed them off because the checklist felt like this icky thing, this gross list of tasks that needed to get done, that felt like chores, that felt like a job. And I knew that I could push them off, so I did. So what I want you to do is look at the schedule that you made on your calendar that we talked about in the last video and find blocks of time that you can add checklist time to. This is very unspecific. It's just time that you're going to get to things on your checklist. We're going to talk about how to prioritize the things in a moment. But when you can actually schedule in a block of time, now these tasks aren't these floating things in the air that you'll get to at some point. You can kind of condense them within a 15-minute or 30-minute or hour parameter and start checking things off because you know there's an end time. So you're just using that block of time to get some stuff done. Now, it's completely up to you how long of duration you need to get to your checklist time or how often you want to get to it every week. But when you're able to actually give yourself a deadline for some of these tasks, that will help you greatly in actually getting them done. And the second mindset shift is the actual thought that you have about your list, the feelings that you have towards your list. Like I said, when I first started out, it felt like this gross, icky thing, this list of tasks that I sort of dreaded to get to. But instead, see those things that are on that list as opportunities to move forward in your creative journey, in your creative quest. These are things that you've already thought about and decided that they are important enough that you need to get them done. So think of them as things that once you get done, you get one step further in your creative journey of life. Think of them as little mini missions that you have to accomplish, or think of yourself in a movie montage as you're getting them done. Whatever mindset shift you have to make in order to start thinking about your checklist in a positive manner, in a way that you are getting closer to your creative thesis statement, your creative goals, the better. So just get into that positive mindset. Now, one of the stumbling blocks that I had when I first started with my checklists, and something that I still struggle with when my checklist gets too long, is when it becomes checklist time and I sit down to look at my list, I get overwhelmed and I don't know which task to take on first. And I get those feelings of anxiety. And when I get those feelings of anxiety, I'm not going to get much done, and the things that I do get done are not going to be that good. So I have 3 ways that I fight this and that you can too. The first way is by restructuring my list, reordering my list. And it might seem ridiculous for you to take your list and rewrite it again on a separate piece of paper, but I suggest you do. It's only going to take you a minute or two, and it will help greatly in figuring out which task to take on first. Now, the first way I reorganize my list is by importance. I put the important things at the top and the least important things on the bottom. And then when I can get to the important things first, it gives me that bigger surge of dopamine when I get it done, and it helps me to be more motivated as I get to the second and third task on the list. The second way is by reordering it by duration, by how long each task takes. Now, hopefully you'll have a good understanding of how long these tasks take you by doing your time audit, but take the time to write down the things that take the longest duration first and the shortest duration at the bottom. And then it's up to you whether you want to start at the top and go down or the bottom and go up. Maybe it will give you more motivation to get done that one big task, to just get it done and check that off of your list. Or maybe it will give you more motivation to get a whole bunch of little tasks done that don't take as long, but you can cross more things off of your list. So you know yourself and you know which direction you need to go, but taking that 1 or 2 minutes to reorder your list will help you greatly. And if you've tried both of these methods and they don't work for you, and you still don't know which task to take on first, I suggest using a random number generator. And this was a method that was taught to me by Mur Lafferty when she was on the show. And this has been a complete game changer for me because it just randomizes the whole process and it takes the decision out of your hands. So just go down your list and go 1 through 20 or whatever, however many numbers there are in your list, and go on Google. Or they have many different random number generators online. Just find one that works for you and literally just hit generate random number, and it's going to give you a task, and you just do that task. So I hope this was helpful for you to think about your checklist in a new way. Please let me know in the comments below, do you use a checklist? And if so, what methods do you use to actually get the things off of your list? I love you all, and we'll see you in the next video.